As the story goes on, the patterns become even clearer. Martell continues to pull everyone into the same cycle of blame, confusion, and emotional pressure. And each time someone tries to break free, he finds a way to pull them back. This is why the drama never ends. Melody tries to stay ahead, Tisha tries to stay calm, Arionne tries to find her place, and Ken tries to make sense of everything. But Martell's behavior keeps everyone trapped in a loop. Watching how each person responds to him shows the real difference between chaos and control. And then there's Trish. Her growth becomes more noticeable as she keeps meeting with Dr. Francis. She's learning to understand why things go wrong and what patterns need to end. Her willingness to change highlights how powerful self-awareness can be, especially in a group where most people avoid accountability. Trish is showing that real progress takes effort. And even though the people around her aren't changing, she's still determined to rise above the drama. The deeper we go, the more we see that every relationship in this group is connected by some mix of bad decisions, emotional wounds, and unresolved conflicts. Melody tries to protect herself financially because of Martell's mistakes. Tisha tries to protect her peace because of Marcelo's issues. Ariona tries to protect her emotions while dealing with uncertainty. Ken tries to protect his sanity while navigating everyone else's chaos. And all of it together creates a storyline that feels less like a normal conflict and more like a never-ending storm. Every time someone tries to talk things out, it turns into another argument. Every time someone tries to fix something, someone else brings up old problems. Every apology feels incomplete, and every new plan falls apart because the past keeps coming back. This is what makes the story so unpredictable. The issues are never fully addressed, so they keep growing behind the scenes. The most surprising part is how everyone seems to be stuck between wanting peace and choosing chaos. Melody wants calm, but dealing with Martell forces her into tough positions. Arione wants clarity, but she keeps getting pulled into emotional storms. Tisha wants stability, but the people around her create pressure. Ken wants progress, but he can't get it when everyone else is stuck in old habits. Their choices show how complicated it becomes when a group doesn't work together. As things build up, the tension becomes harder to ignore. Martell keeps creating problems that feel avoidable. Melody keeps dodging situations that could hurt her future. Arione keeps trying to communicate without causing bigger issues, and Tisha keeps protecting herself from getting dragged deeper. Even Ken, who tries to stay strong, begins to feel the weight of everything happening. And this is where everything starts connecting. Melody's financial moves tie back to Martell's mistakes. Tisha's frustrations tie back to unresolved conflicts from the past. Arionne's confusion ties back to unclear communication. Ken's stress ties back to trying to fix things that were broken long before he got involved. Every thread is linked, and that's why this drama feels endless. But the real twist is that everyone still hopes for some kind of resolution. Even with all the chaos, misunderstandings, and emotional damage, they keep trying to push forward. They keep trying to talk things out, even if conversations fall apart. They keep trying to repair relationships, even if the wounds run deep. This shows that underneath the chaos, there's still a desire for honesty, peace, and growth. As we move toward the final part of the story, everything gets even more intense. Martell's mistakes catch up with him. Melody's strategy becomes clearer. Tisha's strength becomes more visible. Arionne's resilience stands out. Ken's patience reaches its limit. And suddenly, the story shifts in a way that makes everything that came before make sense. Stay with me, because the next part reveals the truth behind the drama, the real motives behind the actions, and the moment everything changes. Trust me, you don't want to miss what comes next. And that's exactly why this moment has captured so much attention, because Martell Holt is no longer just a reality TV personality. He has become a case study in how public figures navigate love, ego, and vulnerability when the whole world is watching. Every word he says, every emotion he expresses, every hint he gives about his personal life becomes fuel for conversations that last days. And whether people love him or love to criticize him, one thing is certain: everyone is paying attention. But here's the deeper layer. What Martell is saying about Arionne does not only reveal how he feels about her, it reveals how he feels about himself. Because when a man keeps repeating that he wants loyalty, attention, and someone who is crazy about him, it shows that there are emotional gaps he's still trying to fill. It shows that he is still trying to rebuild the parts of himself that were broken in the process of losing a marriage, losing public trust, and losing control over a narrative he once believed he owned. This is why some viewers believe his attachment to Arionne is emotional comfort, not real healing. They see him clinging to the validation she gives him because he is not yet ready to fully deal with the pain he carries from the past. But Martell doesn't see it that way. In his mind, Arionne represents someone who has stood by him during his darkest moments, even when the world dragged both of them mercilessly. From public humiliation to social media wars to being labeled as the other woman, she endured all of that while insisting she genuinely cared for him. Martell sees that loyalty as rare, and he values it. That is why he speaks with a softness around her name that he rarely shows elsewhere. It's not about perfection. It's about consistency. It's about knowing that when everything collapses, someone will still pick up the phone for him. For a man who has often felt misunderstood, that kind of unwavering attachment feels irreplaceable. But here's where the conversation gets even messier. Because with Martell, nothing exists in a simple, neat box. Even as he praises Arionne, people still question his intentions. Is he saying these things because he's truly in love? Or is he saying them because he wants to prove something to the world? Is he speaking from his heart? Or is he trying to rewrite the narrative that has followed him for years? There are fans who believe that Martell sees Arionne as a reflection of the freedom he lost when fame took over his life. Others believe he keeps her close because she feeds the part of him that thrives on admiration, attention, and emotional reassurance. But whatever the truth is, the public can sense that his attachment to her comes from a place much deeper than he admits. Because even when he tries to act tough, even when he tries to shift the blame, there are moments where his guard drops, and those moments reveal a man who was still fighting his own battles. And as Martell continues to open up, one thing becomes clear. People are not just reacting to his words, they are reacting to the patterns they've seen for years. They remember how quickly he could switch between anger and charm. They remember how passionately he defended choices that hurt people. They remember the interviews, the arguments, the emotional outbursts, and the complicated moments where his pride collided with his vulnerability. So when he speaks about love now, especially love for a woman who was at the center of his most controversial decisions, people don't just hear the romance, they hear the history. What makes this moment even more fascinating is that it puts a spotlight on a truth people often avoid. Love is not always logical. It's not always clean. It's not always admirable. Sometimes love exists in chaos. Sometimes it grows in places that don't make sense to the outside world. And for Martell, whether people like it or not, Arionne represents a connection built out of intensity, passion, mistakes, and emotional highs and lows that only the two of them truly understand. And that unpredictability, that rawness, is why the public cannot look away. Because when Martell Holt speaks, he never just tells a story. He reveals a piece of himself. And whether that piece is healed, broken, confused, or confident, people will always tune in to see what he shows next. This is where everything finally shifts. Martell starts losing control of the story he's been spinning for years. His excuses stop working, the charm fades, and the truth begins breaking through every crack he tried to cover. Melody moves smarter, calmer, and more strategic than ever. She's done protecting anyone else's mess. Her focus is her peace, her kids, and her future. Arionne reaches her wake-up moment. All the mixed signals and emotions suddenly make sense, and she realizes she has to choose herself over the chaos. Tisha hits her limit too. She stops holding everything together for everyone else and starts setting boundaries for the first time in a long time. Even Ken, the calm one, reaches breaking point. He steps back, choosing his sanity over trying to fix people who don't want to change. Meanwhile, Trisha's growth outshines them all. Therapy with Dr. Francis transforms her mindset. She stops repeating old patterns and becomes the example of what real progress looks like. And that's when the truth lands. The chaos was never random. It was the result of patterns nobody wanted to face. Now loyalties shift, secrets come out, and everyone is forced to confront realities they've been avoiding. Stay tuned, because the next part is where the real explosion